What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Trump did his, you could call it a State of the Union address. It wasn't really a State of the Union address. It was just the joint session of Congress speech. But, you know, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. He did a lot of railing on Democrats, and this is something I love because, you know, Democrats, they don't know how to take Donald Trump, and you got to love their response, and that's what this is about today. Just going to show exactly where the Democratic Party is after this, after they just got utterly demolished last night in front of the American people, for everybody to see, as a matter of fact. Polling was great. Most Americans enjoyed Donald Trump's speech. They think we're on the right path. They think we're going in the right direction. You've got a lot of corporate press outlets trying to spin the polls in such a way to make it look bad, make it look as worse as they possibly can on Donald Trump. And you got to love it. But they had a Democrat response to Donald Trump's speech, and it was blah, blah, blah. But, okay, so I've got a news article. And it is unhinged. It is just a complete unhinged rant. These people just completely, you're going to see. We're going to get into this, but it's insane. So get prepared for that. But before we do, right quick, y'all do me that big favor. Smash that like button for me if you don't mind. Subscribe if you're new around here. I would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to grow. We're trying to expand. We're trying to do our thing around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be a great help, and I would be forever appreciative if you guys could do that for me. That would also be great if you could join the channel. That's right. We now have the ability to have members to this channel. You get all kind of perks. It's videos, comment videos, all kinds of stuff that I've got lined up for everybody. But, you know, if y'all could do that, that would also be great. That would help propel this channel to heights never seen before. Yeah, I know, but let's get into, I know, enough of that, enough of my plugging my own channel, right? Let's get into this right quick, because this is completely just unhinged, and it's not going to go exactly where you might think it goes. Now, I will give you a warning right off the jump. This is from the Daily Kos, and most of my longtime viewers know that, yeah, they're deranged leftists. Just, it's a cultist website, essentially, for the cult left. So, just as a reminder, that's who we got. Check this out, y'all. Dim response to Trump's speech. Not good enough. Not even close. Oh, yeah. Let's get into this. This is going to be lovely, y'all. Check it out. Democrats had a chance to punch back last night. One of the very few opportunities they get to punch back in a widely watched national stage. And they failed to do so. It's difficult, if not impossible, to credibly argue, rightfully, that this criminal president is lawless, corrupt, and a direct and immediate threat to our democracy and our constitutional order, all of which are clearly true. If you treat this primetime speech as just a normal address to a joint session to Congress, nothing to see here. Move along, as Rep. Stansbury rightfully noted on her sign. This is not normal. Oh, yeah, there was a lot. And, you know, Al Green got booted out, as a matter of fact, but he's going to bring that up here in a minute. So I'm going to wait. I got a clip. We'll throw that in there, but the speech was great. It just goes to show how deranged Democrats are. The fact that they sat there. Donald Trump was, you know, he kept promoting everything that he has been doing. You know, cutting waste, cutting spending, blah, blah, blah. Right? You would figure that they would cheer when Donald Trump says, we're going to balance the budget. Crickets from the Democrat side. The only time they cheered is when Donald Trump says, we've spent $350 billion for the war in Ukraine. They start cheering. Like, yes, keep doing this, by the way. Keep on doing what you guys are doing right now, because you guys are going to get smoked in the midterms. To the extent that any visuals are remembered from this Castro-esque, ghastly compendium of self-congratulatory gloating and lies, it will be the fact that one Democrat stood up and got kicked out.
Continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum. The chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed.
And that another had her small handwritten sign swatted out of her hands like a small fly by a seditious Republican coward and morally bankrupt worshiper of a traitor. That's it. You gotta love these people, man. Like I said, cult. Just straight up cultists. I realize, of course, that the party out of power is always at a significant disadvantage in these settings, the trappings, etc. There are only a very few limited number of options at their disposal, and I don't believe a steady stream of individual Democrats yelling like Al Green would have been a productive use of one of them. And I also note that, after all is said and done, this was just one speech. Yeah, it was a damaging speech to your party, by the way. All style, no substance. There are obviously much bigger fights on the horizon. But a very limited number of options is not no options. And while just a speech is also a very prominent one of the very few opportunities that Democrats are going to have to reach a large audience outside of the MSNBC watching crowd, an opportunity to vividly demonstrate that things indeed are not normal, and that half of the country is very much opposed to all of these abuses and lawlessness. I'm sorry to let you in on something, my guy. They are not. People are cheering for this, downsizing the federal government, trying to balance the budget, stopping all this wasteful spending. I don't know anybody that likes having their tax dollars essentially stolen from them and spent on far-left ideologically driven programs. I'm sorry. These guys, you are on the wrong side of history, my guy. If they didn't choose to boycott beforehand, the ejection of Representative Green was actually the perfect opportunity for Democrats to have gotten up en masse and walked out. Every single one. United. And yes, that is a one-word sentence, by the way. Standing up for each other. A strong spectacle. Would have shown the other spectacle for what it was, a rapidly live-filled divisive campaign rally, nothing more, filled with hate. Now, I watched that speech. I didn't see any hate. I didn't see many lies, right? Like Donald Trump does lie, but what politician doesn't lie? There was a bit of exaggerations. Now, I can't say that it was divisive. I don't think it was divisive at all. It's just the fact that you guys are in a cult and hate Donald Trump so much. Anything that he does, you guys consider divisive. So there you go. It would have spared Dems from the political hits they are taking for not standing up for this GOP prop or that one, whatever that means. It also would have had the added benefit of potentially sending Trump into a sputtering rage and triggering an unscripted, remarkably offensive remark or tangent that would have been unhinged even by his standards. Now, once again, see, this is the Donald Trump in the leftist brain. You say something to him and he just comes unhinged. Well, that's not reality, my guy. People don't act like that. Only you guys act like that. I mean, that's exactly what we're reading right here. Unhinged, as a matter of fact. And it would have sent a richly deserved message of you to a traitor and a corrupt convicted felon and racist, a message of undisguised contempt for that ignorant imbecile that would have been seen and heard not just domestically but all around the world, a message which would have at least have partially trampled on Trump's messaging. And Democrats took a pass. So he's not only going off on Donald Trump and the Republican Party here, he's going off on Democrats for not being completely insane. Instead, Trump got to speak for an hour and 40 minutes, largely undisturbed, before a mindless, treasonous, spineless, morally bankrupt Republican Party basking in pathetic adulation. And what did the Democrats' posture earn them? The audience saw most Democrats being mature, the adults in the room.
The chair now directs the sergeant at arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Right, not cheering for things that they should have actually been cheering for. That's not very adult-like. Standing up and yelling. Now, I will say, I'm trying to be fair on this, right? I saw a lot of people yelling and gnashing their teeth about Al Green standing up and blah, 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 blah. You know what? When Marjorie Taylor Greene was heckling Joe Biden, I'm like, it was kind of worthy to a certain degree, a little bit, because he was talking about the border and Laken Riley had just died recently and it was a whole thing, right? And he was like, she was telling Joe Biden to say her name. Mention Laken Riley. You haven't mentioned them. You don't care about the border, blah, 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 blah. There was still heckling going on, though. So, she didn't stand up and was just railing. She was sitting down. She was kind of collected. But, regardless, she was still interrupting the speech, just like he did. That's all I'm going to say about that. There was a bit of a difference. I will say that. But, regardless, that's a lack of decorum on her part, on Marjorie Taylor Greene's part. And this is something like, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She stands up and she says some dumb stuff, right? Like, who doesn't say some dumb stuff from time to time? Sure, it's going to happen, right? But her voting record is what I like. I don't necessarily like her character, if you will, if you know what I mean, because she does say some stuff that's kind of out there, if you know what I mean. But her voting record, and this is how I look at congressmen, through the lens of their voting record. These people, they look at Donald Trump through the lens of the corporate press, who constantly smears Donald Trump into oblivion. So obviously their take on Donald Trump is kind of bad. Sitting and listening, they saw one Democrat stand up and stand out and get kicked out for his good trouble. They saw another being dismissed with her protest paper being swatted away. They heard some Democrats heckle or boo or laugh at certain times. They saw some pink clothes. Like, what are you even talking about here, my guy? This is just completely off the rails. And eventually they saw some other Dems belatedly walk out. They also heard of some Dems not attending at all, and they got their Democratic response. Senator Slotkin, who I believe started speaking around 11 p.m. Eastern. In short, folks got a sense of Democrats being a little bit all over the place. No united front, scattered. Another one-word sentence. Pretty weak. No coherent voice at all. And in return, they sat there and listened to the treasonous president who treats them, their entire legislative body, and their constitutional prerogatives with absolute lawless contempt and disdain, gratuitously insult many of the special guests that Dems brought to the event. And they are taking some political hits for not having stood up to clap for sympathetic, cheap GOP political points. Props. Sorry. You gotta love this, man. You've got to love this. He is railing at Democrats for not being just completely unhinged. That's what this is all about. He is mad because they weren't like raising the roof, creating ruckus, like getting up and walking out, showing where the Democratic Party is. They were doing their best to try to at least go out with their dignity intact. Because that's exactly what Donald Trump, everything he was saying, 99% of it was true, right? Sure, there was a couple of lies in there, a couple of exaggerations, $350 billion. We haven't spent that much. The United States has not spent that much. If you want to take the total all together, like everything, not just the military stuff and the money we've sent over there, but, everything Europe has sent, everything the world has sent, plus the extra money for security for NATO, that has increased because of this war that has been going on. Yes, $350 billion. But Donald Trump doesn't say this. So what does the corporate press do? Oh, well, he's lying. What can you do about that, right? Like, Trump is who he is. It's just completely off the rails here. Time and time again, elected Dems fail to meet the urgency of this particular moment. It is maddening, infuriating, profoundly frustrating. Like, how many times can you elaborate on the same emotion? Like, how many different words can you use to explain one single emotion. That's all that was. Today's Republican Party is defined by its cowardice, spineless, seditionist contempt for democratic values, lack of empathy, profound lack of patriotism, stunning hypocrisies, and craving for power above all else. But for all its treason and cowardice, and as unfairly as it is, the party is not viewed as weak. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not true. They are viewed as weak. As a matter of fact, us over here on the populist side, yeah, the Republican Party is fairly milquetoast, if you ask me, just in general, right? We have some good Republicans, and I think that's the problem with some of these people, like the guy that wrote this, right? They don't have any Democrats except for Ro Khanna. He's the only one that's worth anything in Congress, as a matter of fact, and we have like 10 to 12, something like that. But let's keep going. This is nuts. The Democratic Party, by contrast, at least the leadership, seems to be defined by timidity, diversity of thought. What? Yeah, diversity of insanity, you mean? Which is one of our greatest strengths. Really? And at the same time, often makes it much harder for us to be bold, and respect for norms, institutions, rules, and decorum and traditions which no longer apply in the Trump era and really are now a joke. Fairly or unfairly, the Democratic Party on the national level is viewed as weak, as not willing to truly fight for what we believe in. People need to see Democrats fighting for something. Really fighting when the issues we are fighting for are so real and urgent and country altering. The urgency of now, what they're fighting for is less important than actually just doing so. Although there are obviously some simple, easily explainable major causes we have on our side. With precious few exceptions, there have been some, they largely haven't so far. Democrats have most certainly not used all the tools at their disposal to delay or block action in the Senate, while the Senate minority can't prevent key folks from being confirmed. It can create many more obstacles for the majority than Democrats have been doing. Yes, because they see that these people are qualified. They see that these people are going to do a good job. Like, regardless, like, not everybody in the cult is a cultist. We have Democrats. They're just there for the money, right? So they can't go against their own logic, right? Logic rules people's thoughts for the most part, right? Unless you're in a cult like these people are. Supreme Court seats, for God's sake. Yes, of course, he was able to do so only because they had the majority, which Democrats lack. But my point is, he thought big. He wasn't timid. I don't subscribe to the notion that a bolder, more united, much more memorable response in real time last night would have grossly offended large numbers of people, or at least significant numbers of reachable people. We're talking Trump here. Those people who are willing to tolerate Trump's rudeness and contempt for norms but somehow are grossly offended by a Democratic response were never going to be dazzled by Democratic adulting in the room. Is that what you want to call it? So it's not you, it's everybody else that's insane? Is that what you're trying to say here, my guy? Once again, y'all, this is why I say Democrats, a lot of them are in a cult. They can't see the forest for the trees. They're just like, there's too many trees in the way. We're looking for this forest, and there's all these trees, and we need to cut them all down, y'all, right now. We can and need to do better. Much, much better. We have to. And that is all to that. You gotta love the absolute cope and seethe from these people. Oh, man. And that was just a regular old speech from Donald Trump. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Most Americans agreed with everything he had to say. Right? I think the polling was like 70% or something like that. I didn't look at it. I just heard it from a news report. So it might have been 60%. So don't quote me on that. I could be getting that a little bit wrong, if you know what I mean. But Man, the Democrats, they've just lost the plot, right? Everything that they've been building up to over the past 8 years since Donald Trump came down that escalator has been insanity. And they continue to keep pushing forward with that insanity. And, the American people are like, stop, slow down. You got Democrats leaving the party in droves. I mean, look at the big tent that Donald Trump has created here. He's got Democrats, libertarians, all in his cabinet. He's got all different political persuasions under his leadership, I guess you could say, right? Tulsi Gabbard ran for president in 2020 as a Democrat, right? You got RFK Jr. That's one of the most famous Democrat families in the United States. They're tantamount to royalty in this country for Democrats, right? He's got RFK Jr. And there's many others we could speak of, but this is what Donald Trump has done. Donald Trump is not some far-right extremist like the corporate press and the media try to portray him as. He is a moderate. He was a lifelong Democrat, right? The new Republican Party is the old Democrat Party. This is why these people can't seem to get on board. They have gone deranged mode up in here just for a very long time at this point, and people are starting to lose grip. They're starting to see, they're starting to come around. Even with all the narratives from the corporate press constantly trying to prop up the Democratic Party, it is not working anymore, and people are starting to see it. People are saying we need to get back to normalcy. We need to get back to the adults in the room, if you will. Right? Like how he says, oh, we're adulting over here. Oh, is that so? It's just funny that he mentioned that because, adults don't generally get up and start screaming, waving their cane at somebody for speaking the truth. Like, that just doesn't happen. That's not normal in this country. Or at least it's not supposed to be normal. Am I right? It blows my mind all the time just how far Democrats are willing to continually push the boundaries of what we're supposed to be in this country, like the boundaries of normalcy, the boundaries of everything just about. I mean, look, these people can't even answer the question, what is a woman? Oh, it's anybody that identifies as a woman. No, that is not the correct answer for that. It's a human adult female. That is the correct answer for that. But that goes against the cult because these people think that you can change your gender and you're just the different gender, you're different sex at that point. Well, that's not how reality works. Reality doesn't align with that. I'm sorry to break it to anybody, Like a lot of these people, they just need to be sat down and talked to, right? Speaking of, if you have any questions about any of that, talk to a doctor, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to somebody to help you appear at least, because, we don't want anybody harming themselves, in other words. So we want people to feel safe in this country, and that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. But the corporate press, they keep trying to say that, and it's articles like this that people read and they just buy into it. It's totally opinion. There's no news in here at all. And so it's like, what do we do with people like this? It's getting crazy out here, folks. And they just keep going further and further away from everybody else. It just keeps getting worse and worse. It's not getting any better. And, I don't know how to fix this. When I started this channel, I thought maybe if I could bring some logic to YouTube and try to put just basic logic out there, like, no, this doesn't work. This is why, blah, 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 that people would get the idea. But, I haven't grown that much yet to be able to do so. So I'm still trying to grow. So hopefully that will work. But I need y'all's help to grow. So y'all smash that like button. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And that is all I got on this one, y'all. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.